Hi, welcome back. Before you attend any lecture or tutorial, it is wise to prepare all the study materials that will be used during the class. Good preparation will not only enhance your concentration, but also allow you to better participate in the class discussion. First, I recommend you to print all the study materials that you will be using during the lecture and the tutorial. Possessing a hard copy of the notes or the exercise sheet makes learning more convenient as the study materials are readily available. You just need to place the papers in a flip file folder et voila! Some lecture slides may be written over many pages, and it thus becomes reasonable to have multiple pages printed on a one A4 sheet. I recommend 2 or 4 pages per A4 sheet depending on the font size. I think that 6 pages is a bit too much as you don't have enough space on the sheet to write additional notes. Such detail may seem insignificant at first glance, but it influences your study performance in the long run. For example, you might have misunderstood an important theory in the notes because the letters were too small to read, which then made you answer some question in an assignment the wrong way. Indeed, some students might prefer to work on their iPad or tablet without printing the notes, which has its own risks. This method is fine as long as you keep an online copy of your work on Google Drive or Dropbox and you don't accidentally delete any important documents. My second advice is to read the study materials multiple times to get used with what will be taught in the lecture and the tutorial, and to know the direction in which you are heading towards so that you can anticipate any future problems. Preparing the study materials before the class is somehow confusing, especially when it comes to how much time do I dedicate for pre-reading the notes, and to what extent should I understand the materials on my own. For instance, it would be quite inefficient to spend 1 hour learning a complex theory on your own before the lecture, which would normally take only 10 minutes for you to understand if a lecturer discussed that same theory during the lecture time. On the other hand, if you don't prepare yourself sufficiently well before your classes, you might end up being lost during the explanation. It's like overdoing against neglecting the duty. The truth is that it all depends on how busy you are. While you may have a lot of free time during the first 3 weeks of the semester, your workload will exponentially increase once the assessments are released. Hence, it becomes a matter of what you prioritize first and what is more important, which evidently depends on numerous factors such as the submission date, the difficulty of each subject, and so on. My third advice is to always prepare a list of questions on things that have drawn your attention while you were reading the lecture notes and the tutorial sheet. This can be any ambiguities about the subject or simply things out of context that you would like to know more about. Typically, such questions can be why is it like this or what should we do if this is not present. Those questions will help you facilitate the learning process and the interaction with your lecturer and your tutor. During this stage of your learning process, like any other stages, it is important that you have a strong sense of purpose for what you are doing because with purpose comes motivation and self-confidence. Otherwise, you may get bored and lose focus on the learning task. This is why I came up with a catchphrase, a sort of mantra for each learning stage that you need to say to yourself to subconsciously remind yourself of the importance of those activities. In the case of preparing your study materials, just say to yourself, I must be ready for tomorrow. As a summary, preparing the study materials before attending your classes gives you an overall understanding of what you will be learning during the classes. As for advice, we discussed the advantages of having all study materials printed, the importance of reading the study materials multiple times, and lastly, the need for preparing a list of questions. To help you boost your self-confidence and motivation, we also develop a sort of mantra, which is, in this case, I must be ready for tomorrow. That was all for preparing your study materials. See you in the next video.